Did you know how to tell those stories correctly? Did you highlight your character in terms of integrity, honesty, compassion, empathy, etc. throughout your interview? What's up, everybody? Welcome back. New camera angle. God bless. Hold on, let me shut this door. Ooh, all right, guys, ready to go. So welcome back to my channel, where here we talk about getting hired in the fire service. So I put a post on my page probably about a week or two ago about the best questions to ask at the end of your firefighter job interview. Now, some people agreed, disagreed, whatever it was. I wanted to explain it in a little bit of more detail in this long form video. And that's what all my YouTube videos are, just explaining things in depth, because on Instagram, I can only really talk about things for, I think, max 3 minutes. But usually to keep people's attention spans, because we live in a TikTok generation, it's got to be probably around like 6 seconds. So this is where you can talk about everything in much more detail. So real quick, if you like this video, like and subscribe for more videos just like this. In a firefighter job interview, at the end, they're usually going to ask you, okay, Joe, what questions do you have for us now? Do you have any at all? So this is after you've answered pretty much everything in terms of the 35 minutes that you've been given, everything in terms of probably the 6 or 7 questions that they choose to ask. That's how most interviews typically are. And you want to stick to about 5 minutes per question. Now, when they ask you this, a lot of people get tripped up and they think that this question is something that it's really not. They think that that it holds more weight than it actually does. They think it's make or break. And I'm here to tell you it's absolutely not make or break. What determines if you get your job has been the answers that you've provided already. Did you pick the correct stories from your past? Did you know how to tell those stories correctly? Did you highlight your character in terms of integrity, honesty, compassion, empathy, etc. throughout your interview? Meaning, did you essentially prepare for your interview, and did you do a good job in preparation and everything that you provided for them thus far? That's what's gonna get you your job, not this question here. It's not make or break. First, what not to do. A lot of people like to go down the path of getting really, really personal and asking the fire panel, you know, have you been to bad calls? What was the worst call you've ever been to? Have you been to a call where someone's died? Have you, like, what's the worst fire you've seen? Well, how do you like your job after 30, 35 years? The reason that this is bad is for a few reasons. Number one, they are there to get to know you. They're interviewing you to see if you fit their organization, not the other way around. Now, I know a lot of people will go down this path and they'll say, well, I want to ask these questions because, you know, it feels like no one else is asking these questions, so I want to stand out. And yes, some people, you know, it might be a standout question because most people are not asking, you know, tell me about how you feel about your job right now. Do you like your job after 35 years? Sure, you might stand out in that regard, but at the end of the day, they don't really want to go down and tell a complete stranger how they feel about their job after X amount of years. Keep in mind as well that although not as many people will be asking a specific question like that, a lot of people ask questions like, you know, what was your worst call, etc., etc. Keep in mind, they are probably on their either first, second, or third week of interviews, and they have everybody asking those types of questions. You are just number, I don't know, 86 in a lineup of maybe about 100 people that they're interviewing, and you're asking the same thing that number 12 asked, that number 38 asked, that number 100 is going to ask. Certain point, just answering the same questions over and over. They don't want to keep answering these questions to people that they don't know. And yeah, it's kind of irritating because keep in mind, this is their job. They're looking to see who are the best candidates in all of these resumes, and they're trying to find these people. And by you asking the same question, it's probably, if you put yourself in their position, it's probably quite irritating for them to have to answer these questions over and over. But remember to put yourself in their position before you go down and ask any question. Have they heard this? Is this the same thing? Am I tricking myself to thinking that I'm getting really personal with them and that's gonna leave a memorable impression on them, so they're gonna wanna now hire me? No, like I said, everything you've done before this point in the interview, all the storytelling questions, highlighting your character, those, getting all the points correct, those are gonna be the things that are gonna get you hired, not this question. But if you do go down and ask a question at the end of your interview, here's what you should do. Keep the interview question in the room. Meaning only ask about things pertaining to this firefighter job interview, to what we're doing here today. I'm interviewing you as a candidate, potentially going to hire you for the job. Keep it about that. Don't bring it outside. What was your favorite call, et cetera, et cetera. So a few questions that are good examples to ask could be, when could I expect to hear back from this interview? What are the next stages that I could be preparing for if I were lucky enough to move forward after this interview? Is there anything I could do or say to clarify anything that we've gone over in this interview to strengthen my candidacy? Those types of questions right there are perfect. You stay within the room, you keep it on topic, and the topic is an interview. That's obviously why you're here, and you keep it just based on that. Most people, like I said, they will go and take it outside the room, and that's more of a nuisance than anything else. Keep in mind, they're looking to find the best candidates. You're just number 86 out of a huge list of people that they're interviewing. Make their life easier. Also keep in mind, it's more than okay to say that you do not have a question if you don't have a question. You don't have to pick some question out of thin air and just give it to them because you say that, you know what, like I don't want to go in there saying I have nothing to add, or it looks like I'm not interested in the job, or it looks like I don't want to be there, or I'm not eager. No, that's not what it is. If you genuinely don't have a question, don't create one. I remember when I was in my interviews, I try to create like questions that made me look so smart. I'm like, I know your annual report usually comes out around this time of the year, but I haven't seen it yet. So when could I be expecting that? I'm a little bit of a nerd when it comes to fire studying, blah, blah, blah. I would love to read that. They literally just looked at me and said, yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. You know, like right there, would that be getting me any points? No one was writing anything down on the sheet of paper when I said that. No one was like, oh, we have to hire this guy because he reads our annual reports. Don't try to think that you're going to come up with the best question that they've never heard, because I promise you there's someone in their room right now coming up with the best question, and they're going to ask it in their interview, their upcoming interview, and no one's going to care. That's not what gets you jobs. So if you have no question at all, it's okay not to ask one. At the same time, if you actually have a genuine question for this interview panel, ask them the question. And as long as it's not one of the questions that I mentioned before that are not good, as long as you're somewhat keeping this inside of the room and that your question is relatively about the interview process, the hiring process, et cetera, something that maybe it's maybe it's your OFAI paperwork and something's going to expire and you just want to make sure that you have it all in line on the proper dates, the proper time. Maybe it's something about your medical certification, same thing, expiry dates. It's more than okay to ask about that stuff. Not a problem whatsoever. Try to keep your question within that room. So like I said, at the end of the day, just remember where you are. You're in an interview. You're with people that are trying to do a job and they're trying to find the best candidates for the job, and they're sifting through so many different people. So do your best to help them out and do them a favor by providing them with all the necessary information beforehand in your interview, by choosing the correct stories, getting the correct points, allowing yourself to highlight your character that allows them to hire you in the first place. That's what they would prefer. That's what they want to see, because you just now checked off a number on their boxes that says we can hire this person. We found one of the 100 people that we're hiring this round. It's usually that, I'm talking like if it was in Toronto, but usually if it's a smaller place like Mississauga or Markham, we found one of the diamonds in the rough. That's what this person allowed me to do when I was interviewing them. That's what they want to see. So do that. Have a great interview beforehand and don't worry about the final question at the end. Now, if you need help constructing your firefighter job interview, not a problem. If you need help constructing it to make sure that you turn that interview opportunity into a job offer, which we're all trying to do, then feel free to go on my Instagram and DM me the word fire to get started. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like this about getting hired in the fire service so it can help you achieve your dreams in the future. I love all you guys and thank you for watching. Take care.